Okay, so welcome to the February 2026 Zoom of the Jaffna Club. Our presenter today is Thulasi Muttulingam, who is a multifarious English language professional, as a journalist, as a teacher, who works with NGOs writing reports. So as usual, I start off with the objective of the club for those people who've never participated in a meeting over the last 5 years. The club will facilitate, foster and support social intercourse and fellowship among its members. It will build a network of members and non-members that can work together to promote the economic development of the Northern Province. What is the club for? The club is a catalyst. It will help people like us connect with each other, help people like us connect with the Northern entrepreneurs and business. So the reason I say it's a catalyst is that the club itself doesn't set up companies, it doesn't raise money, it doesn't donate money. It is a place where other people can get together and independently make their arrangements. And this has happened many times over the last 5 years. Investments have been made, partnerships have been created, but the club itself doesn't get involved with those. So in September 2020, if anyone is ever writing a book about entrepreneurs and investors in Northern Province, they could just look at this. So we've seen general managers of national chains like Jetwings. We've seen CEOs of their own companies. We've had lawyers. We've had like Niruparaj, who worked for NACTA in the Northern Province. We've had diaspora, Kulaseludare from Canada. We've had the universities represented here. Thulasi spoke in 2024. So this is the second time we're hearing from her. Last month, the investors in Ally Villas spoke. Ally Villas being a gated community that is being developed in Mandativu, so 10 minutes drive out of Jaffna town into the islands. So now we have Thulasi, Thulasi, if you take over the screen.
Sure, thanks, Dick. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so Jagan introduced me, but let me just briefly say what my background is and how I come into this picture about English learning in Jaffna. Basically, I am a journalist. I have been a journalist nearly 20 years now. Was a full-time journalist in Colombo for 5 years. At that point, when I had been a journalist for about, how many years was that? About 5 or 6 years, the war, actually, no, the war ended when I was 1 year old as a journalist. 5, 6 years on after I had worked in Colombo, I came to the realization, even post-war, there were a lot of issues in the Northern East that were not getting covered by the national press because they didn't have much of a presence here. And I was one of very few Tamil-speaking English writing journalists based in Colombo. So I decided to relocate back to my hometown just so I could sit here and report on social issues happening here better. And I worked another 5 years in the NGO sector here among some of the worst affected or war-affected communities in the Northern East. Over time, I realized there were several issues happening here, but one of the biggest problems was that people still were trying to flee the country, even after war ended. In some ways, I would say it's a fashion choice rather than an economic necessity. Yes, economic necessity plays into it, but more than that, it's also a sort of rite of passage. Everybody believes as soon as you finish your education, you have to go out of the country. The problem with that is that pre-war and during the early years of the war, Jaffna having had a fairly good standard of education, we exported doctors, engineers, professionals who migrated legally and were able to find a foothold in the mainly Western countries, or even any other African countries, Middle Eastern countries, wherever they went, they found a foothold and were able to survive and even thrive. Over time, we lost that, which is not fully understood or addressed. We have mostly unskilled migrants at this point. So they cannot legally migrate to the Western countries they hope to get to. One, they don't have the professional qualifications. Two, even those with the professional qualifications, they need to show a very high standard of English in order to legally migrate. And I know even doctors and engineers who fail that IELTS basic requirement. So the IELTS is an international language testing system that tests your capacity to write, read, speak, listen. And they expect a near native levels of English for you to legally migrate. Many people here do not have that now. And for that reason, they end up illegally migrating, basically trafficking themselves. They pay the agents to get trafficked. The agents take a huge amount of money, but then also sell them off as slave labor. I was reporting on some horrific issues as a journalist. Over time, I thought, okay, just reporting on this is not enough. I am unable to convince anyone to not go abroad, in which case, let me at least do something to help them go abroad legally. So I trained as an English teacher. Apart from that, in recent years, I have also started various community outreach initiatives to develop the children and youths in the region. So I founded the Jaffna Artist Forum, through that the open mic, various other things, just to help youth orient themselves to their own culture as well as understand the wider environment around them, because right now our education system is not really structuring them or enabling them to meet the outside world. And it's a serious issue all around. So all these are interconnected actually. I became an NGO worker through being a journalist. I became an English teacher through being a journalist. I also developed all these community initiatives through being a journalist, identifying the community issues that need to be addressed. So my English teaching journey, I joined the British Council after qualifying for their through their training in 2018. And through that, I have taught both physical and online classes around the country. So I have a fair idea of how students, school leavers especially, not school students, but school leavers, how they come out of schools, their level of English, which unfortunately is pretty bad, but extremely bad in the North. I have also taught online around the world. I have taught pretty much all the South Asian countries, many other countries, Georgia, Russia. And again, got a fair understanding of how students learn from around the world. The issue here is that Jaffna youths have a misconception that they have one of the best educations in the country. And through this, they are not taking much effort to develop themselves, because their attitude is, we already have the best education in the country. Some say we have the best education in South Asia. They have not ever questioned it. So they are pretty smug about their education, and even their apparently extremely brilliant Jaffna brains, they make very little to no effort to develop themselves. So I have taught Russian, Ukrainian, Georgian students who work very hard. I have taught Afghan, Bangladeshi, Indian students. They take the initiative to develop themselves. Even Sinhala students take the initiative to develop themselves. Like, they have that humility. And what's funny is that in Sri Lanka, nationwide, both the Sinhalese and the Tamils say that about themselves. The Sinhalese call themselves stupid, and they call the Tamils intelligent. And it works the other way around also. The Tamils, so if those of you who know would know, there are certain very silly proverbs going around making jokes about the Sinhalese stupidity and Jaffna braininess. The Sinhalese are very humble about it. They crack jokes against themselves. But then with that, they have that humility of, okay, we don't know much, we have to learn. Whereas on the other side, over here, it's like, oh, the Sinhalese are scared of us. We are so brilliant. Our brains are world famous. We are the Jews of the East. It's pretty scary how much they prize their own intelligence, their own education. Once upon a time, Jaffna did have such an education. But what's not understood even within Jaffna is that over the years, we have really lost it to the point that now in 2026, we probably have the worst education in the country. Many people think places like the Vanni or the upcountry have the worst education. Even those kids think that. Again, the issue is when you think you don't have enough, you will try to have outreach initiatives to develop yourselves. And other people will also reach out to help you. Where education is concerned, Jaffna is arrogant enough to think it doesn't need help. The rest of the world doesn't realize we need help. So we are in a very bad place without realizing it. And from my experience teaching around the country and around the world, I would say we are one of the worst spots right now in terms of education. And that's showing in how our students are unable to express themselves once they leave school or even graduate from university. But they are not aware of that. My specialization is only in teaching adults. I have not taught children. So when I start this institute, I'm not going to be focusing on children, although they are the future. We really need to focus young. But that's not my area of expertise, so I'm not going to focus on it now. Over time, though, I don't believe in lessons for children, though. All you need to do to pick up a language is to watch, read, relax. That's how I picked up the language, actually. When parents beg me to teach their children English, I tell them just park the kid in front of a TV and let them watch cartoons. Read them simple books and get them a library membership. But unfortunately, this understanding is lost. Many people do not understand this is how you actually learn a language. They take their kids to expensive elocution classes. I'm sorry to say many of these elocution teachers don't know English themselves. They're doing huge damage to the children, but they're not learning English. So over time, we'll have to extend it to children and make them fun learning environments, not just teach in the traditional structure, but that's not my area of expertise right now. So this first year when I start, it will be for adults. And I have taught adults all the way from beginner to advanced. You very rarely see an advanced English learner in Jaffna. I have had one or two, not that I haven't, but it's very, very rare. So most of my advanced learners are from abroad. In Jaffna, we have complete beginners joining now. At this point in time, the majority of the students I get, I literally have to teach them A, B, C, D. They are coming to class as adults without knowing that. We have had generations of students now who have been taught by teachers who don't know English. We have to accept that. So it's not their fault, but having gone through that system to then think we are brilliant, we don't have to learn something, that's the issue there. Apart from this, the main demand from Jaffna learners, obviously, is IELTS preparation. They all want to go abroad. So they all want to take the IELTS exam and they all want to take it in 2 months. So I have taught these 2-month courses for years now. The problem is, no matter what I teach, a beginner level student cannot be ready for the IELTS in 2 months. Okay, so basically, I already explained the Jaffna context that we once had a very high standard of education in the country. We have lost it, but that is not understood even by Jaffna natives. One of my projects over this year will be interviewing various education professionals as a journalist to get this out, because this needs to be widely addressed, because it's not even understood in Colombo. Like I said, even the Sinhalese talk of how brilliant our education is and how brilliant the Jaffna people are. We really need to put pay to this because it's harming us right now, this kind of narrative. Sri Lankan context, of course, same thing, a little less worse than Jaffna, but still pretty bad overall. We compare very poorly with our South Asian neighbors. So we really need to work as a country as well to develop English education to match the rest of the world. So the attitudes wise, the students have no idea how weak they are and how long they need to prepare. The parents have that same issue. Everyone wants to study the IELTS in 2 months and go abroad. The problem here is that we have this thing of not owning up to failing. So most of my students actually are failing their IELTS. I know that for a fact. I would say 98% of them are failing. However, the system in Jaffna will ensure that nobody knows because nobody says, I failed my exam. So you take your exam, the nosy next door neighbor will immediately come in 2 months and to ask, how did you do? And you will say, oh, I passed with flying colors. And that system keeps repeating. So nobody knows how much of a disaster this is. And everybody keeps doing the same thing. And if I tell my students, you need more than 2 months, you need 1 year, it's like, no, my next door neighbor passed in 2 months. So she studied from that teacher, I'll go over there. So those are the issues there. Now, coming to the institutes, they also know that they will have a fresh batch of students coming in every 2 months. So they are not interested in developing something concrete for over 1 year to get the students from point A to point B. Their motivation is profit. They get their profits with the bare minimum of fuss. The students do not ever complain and say, we didn't get your results, where's my money back? We don't have that culture in Sri Lanka. Nobody owns up to failing anyway, so the institute can get away with saying they have a very high pass rate. It just keeps reinforcing each other. Nobody's learning from it and nobody's doing anything about it. As for the resources available, we have some locally available textbooks, like the Essential English Grammar Raymond Murphy, that's available for less than 1,000 rupees here still. It's more expensive in the UK, but they have been kind enough to release it for a much lower price in India and Sri Lanka. So we have some locally available cost-effective textbooks that I can use. Ideally, if I had the money, which I don't have for this first year, I would get some London-based Oxford and Cambridge textbooks because they are brilliant. I have used them, but they are also very, very, very expensive. So for this first year, I'm going to skip them. Ideally, though, if it were a well-run institute, I would highly recommend we get those as well. But for the moment, I have identified some cheaply available resources that I can buy and use with my students. So after 6 years of teaching like this, I came to the conclusion I was not making much of an impact, simply because 2-month courses are not working. And because the 2-month courses are not working, I tried during the COVID years and soon after to do online courses of 1 year. They would have worked. I used those Oxford and Cambridge textbooks, and they would have worked if my students had cooperated a little bit and watched and read on their own time. So I very carefully selected materials for them to read on their own time, watch on their own time. All they had to spend was 1 hour extra to watch and read. It took me some time to realize they wouldn't do it. And they didn't tell me that. So nobody ever said, no, we are not doing it. They all said, we are doing it. But there was no improvement. Over time, I discovered it's because working professional, intelligent adults, but their idea of studying is only memorizing grammar notes. That's it. Watching movies, cartoons, whatever. According, if it was a beginner level student, I would send basic level cartoons. If it was a slightly more advanced student, I would send children's movies. But they thought that was a waste of time. They thought reading books was a waste of time. And so that was a failure, the online classes. At that point, I thought, okay, I'm not making much of an impact. I might as well go back into journalism. So I gave a speech at the Jaffna Club in September 2024, announcing my decision to leave and also sharing my insights with others so that they wouldn't repeat the same mistakes if they wanted to take it forward. At that time, some patrons of Jaffna Club reached out and said, if you stay, we will help fund an institute. But I was not at that. I had already moved on. So I said, no, I'm not staying around and I'm not founding an institute. I moved back into journalism, became the editor of an online website. One of the first stories that landed on my desk was about 6 young men from Jaffna, some of them married fathers, who had paid 6 million rupees each to get trafficked to Europe. So yes, they did get trafficked to Europe. They got sold to the Russian army and ended up in the front lines of the war. So What had brought me into English teaching from journalism was the fact that I was hearing that these guys were selling their kidneys, selling their ancestral land and property and jewelry just to end up in Bangkok and Cambodia in some horrific situations. Now, when I returned, this is again one of the first stories. So this is still an ongoing problem, has been for years. Anyway, so I really needed to do something about it. I decided, okay, I need to open up at least one pathway for the students to get from point A to point B, because if they are so insistent on migrating, I don't think it's a great idea to migrate right now, but okay, if they're that insistent on migrating, then at least a legal pathway would help them better than an illegal pathway. And right now, there's not a single institute I know of that will get them from that point A to point B. I tried talking to various institutes, but they are not interested. So I have to form my own institute, at least one available for the students to invest their time and money if they want to. But I don't know at this point how successful it'll be, because the average Jaffna population still thinks 2 months is all you need for an IELTS. And they have that deep cognitive dissonance. At that point, they're not listening to anybody. They'll take the IELTS, fail it, immediately take it again, fail it. So the going rate here is minimum of 10 attempts. I know people who have gone up to 30 attempts. So they'll take it for over 2 to 3 years, again and again and again, keep failing. This exam is about 75,000 rupees now. So they spend 2 to 3 million rupees just taking that exam and failing, at which point they decide, okay, this is not going to work. Then they do all sorts of illegal agent activity, at which point they sell all the ancestral wealth and sometimes their kidneys, and still don't get to Australia or Canada, end up in some horrific situations. So, which is why I pivoted to teaching again, and now I'm thinking of forming an institute again. So we'll see whether that works. So the current models I teach through other institutes are not working simply because it's 2 months. Usually 2 months will not work, but I have now fine-tuned methods enough where I can see a difference in my students even over 2 months. So I get complete beginners, as I said. Most of them come in not able to write ABCD. By the time they leave after weekend classes only over 2 months, they do speak, read, write in basic English. However, that is still nowhere near what they need for an IELTS exam, which is most of their goal. So I have to start an institute that will, basically you need 1,000 hours of guided learning to get to that kind of proficiency in English. So yes, I'm going to start an institute that will teach 5 to 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. It'll work up to 1,000 to 1,200 hours over 1 year. And I'm pretty sure I will get them to that point, because I have taught intensive courses now for 4 months. And in those 4 months, I have brought students from beginner level up to IELTS level 5.5. They need 6.5 to migrate. So if in 4 months I'm getting them up to 5.5, I'm pretty sure in 10 months, I definitely can get them up to 6.5 and even 7.5, hopefully. But I need to test it out to see how far we go, because I haven't stretched it out to 1 year yet. So my plans for the first year, this is going to be a pilot project. I have not fundraised yet. I have not done anything yet, but I need to show that this is possible, because many people cannot even visualize something like this. They do not understand what proper English learning looks like. So I have to show it to them. At a 3-month point, you can talk, read, write like this. So the students who come in, they will sign a consent form where they will be videoed. They will have to face the public, because I need to show the public this is possible. Right now, they cannot even visualize something like that. So throughout the first year, the students will be videoed at the 3-month point, how they speak, 6-month point, how they speak, 9-month point, how they speak. And the final month will be intense training for IELTS and Cambridge exams, because I will also give a certificate through my institute. But right now, the Thulasi Muttulingam Institute, whatever certificate, doesn't count for anything. So if they want a valid certificate, IELTS isn't my choice, but if they want it, they can take that. My recommendation would be the Cambridge certificate, because that is internationally valid and it doesn't expire like the IELTS in 2 years. Second year, I'll be training other teachers to take over after me, because this is not my burning passion to be an English teacher. I came in because there's a necessity. I still have a burning passion to go back to journalism. So first year, I'll do it because I can't afford to take on other teachers. Second year, if I make a success of the first year, I hope to fundraise enough for the second year to hire other teachers, get a building, all that running, and then train the teachers to take over after me. And in 5 to 10 years' time, ideally, there should be such an institute all over the country because we have this issue all over the country. There's no institute that I know of anywhere in the country taking students through this intense journey and making them capable of sitting an exam like the IELTS or the Cambridge exam. So these are all that I will cover. They'll cover all the basic English skills: reading, writing, listening, speaking, grammar and vocabulary, presentation and public speaking skills. Just in those 2-month weekend courses, I'm getting my students to now do presentations, and they are really enjoying themselves. And many of them report that that's their favorite activity.
She says go in a legal way.
General knowledge and critical thinking skills. So the problem with our education system is that it's just rote memorization. So while they think they have brilliant, extraordinary brains and a brilliant, extraordinary education, what is actually happening is that they don't have any kind of skills for the 21st century. Even Jaffna-based employers prefer to hire from outside Jaffna because many of the Jaffna youths, unfortunately, have gone through a system that does not make them employable. In terms of soft skills, in terms of general knowledge, in terms of critical thinking, it's just a fact of life. And unfortunately, they don't understand that, they are not addressing that. IT skills, some of the potential students have asked for this, and I'm sure that's needed. Only thing, mine is now a very rudimentary pilot project without much investment. So I would like to, depending on whether I can raise the money for this or not, we'll see whether it goes forward. But it's needed, and a lot of students, whoever wants to join the English class, have also asked for IT classes in conjunction with it. So by the end of that 10 months, they will definitely get that minimum 6.5 that is needed to go abroad, if they want to go abroad. Along with that, they will also have various other soft skills, team working, team building, emotional intelligence. Because this is not me sitting by the blackboard chatting. I'm not going to be teaching like that. I'm going to facilitate their learning. They will be reading, they will be speaking, they will be doing the exercises, they will be collaborating with each other on projects. A lot of learning actually happens that way, and I will just be guiding them through that journey. These are the certificates, as I said. We'll give one from our institute. Apart from that, they will also be ready to take the IELTS exam and get that certificate if they want. Otherwise, my recommendation to them would be take the Cambridge exam because the price also is a big difference. When I checked online, the IELTS exam is 75,000. This Cambridge exam is 31,000, less than half the price. Also valid forever, not just 2 years. And with that, at the end of 1 year, they have one stumbling block to migrating legally removed. So they can migrate legally if they want to, provided they have the other qualifications needed that those countries won't. Otherwise, even locally, they can get better salaries. They'll have more job opportunities locally as well as remote work. So as we all know, remote work has really opened up. And many of the Jaffna students are missing out simply because they do not have this kind of access either through language or knowledge. So we can really meet that gap. So that's my vision. I will teach for 1 year. I'll publish updates about the students' progress every 3 months. I'll train other teachers for the second year. If this is a success, I hope to expand across the region and then across the country. We really have to look at the course fees and sustainability. What I don't want is just a lot of funding coming in where the students don't have to pay much. Because it has to go through sustainably on its own. What happens, I've been studying other models. What happens is that when the funding comes for, say, 5 years and people get used to getting something highly subsidized or free, even when they know it's a very valuable thing, but they will not fund it on their own later. So I have to make it clear to my students. Next year, the course fee will be probably $1 million. I'll have to cost it to see how it, but I want the students' payments to fund it. simply because 1 million they might think is very expensive. But as I said, they are spending much more than that, just failing the IELTS exam. And then they're losing a lot more getting trafficked. It's going down in crores at this point. So they really need to have a realistic understanding of how much a course like this would cost, and that they need to fund it themselves. Because I don't want something where the diaspora or an NGO, whatever, funds it for a few years and then ask the people to take over and they don't. So either it takes off or it crashes from the community itself. They have to meet it halfway. And after that, at that point, I would have given up. At this point, I have given up 8 years of my life for something that is not my burning passion. By that point, it'd be 10 years of my life. So that's my challenge to the community. You either meet me halfway or I am done. Because if it doesn't work for 2 years, then I am out. And I'll pass it to the rest of you if you want to take it forward. This is all I can do. Okay. Okay, Jagan, I'm done.
All right. Thank you, Thulasi. Very, very interesting. Couple of questions from me before I open the floor.
Mm.
So you were saying it takes 1,000 hours of guided learning.
Mm.
What is the starting point?
So,
So
like I
from
said,
zero.
From zero, yes. We are literally starting from ABCD, yes.
And something that I've thought about in the past is a specific language by job role.
Mm.
So that means that if you're working in a supermarket, so everybody knows I don't speak Tamil.
Mm.
So when I go into a supermarket, sometimes I struggle trying to find where the pepper is.
Mm.
So one of the ways to make money is to go for the corporates and provide them with what they need. Have you considered that?
Right now, my focus is the average population. All these will be covered. Like the lessons will cover everything from ordering food in a restaurant to ordering things in a supermarket and facing job interviews. It's very practical oriented lessons. Corporate, the problem is I have taught corporate students. They didn't sign up for it, right? The corporate signed up for it. So it's very tricky. Not many of them actually want to study. This is why I set it up in such a way that the students have to pay for it themselves and come through. I really don't want people who are being sponsored by others, who are being sponsored by their corporations, because their attitude is we can't be bothered. I have had corporate students tell me it was a waste of their time and their company ought to pay them extra money to come and sit in my class. I really don't want students like that.
Yeah. Because in my opinion, having worked with corporates in the past, and I know many businesses, for them to rise inside their company, they need English.
Yeah.
If they're going to rise inside, John Keel's or Cargill's or
Yeah.
Dave Pearce, they need English. And
Yeah.
I'd have thought that the corporate would select the young people or the people based on their leadership abilities. They may have leadership abilities, but they don't have English. So you don't find that is
We can do different things over time. Right now, this is for the general public. Yes, those are definitely options. It's tricky, as I said. When you don't pay for it yourself, the average Jaffna mind doesn't think of self-development. Even especially the average Jaffna leader, the rising up in the corporate sector. It's a very push others down instead of build myself up culture. So I notice whenever students are sponsored and it's not their own money going down the drain, they spend a lot of time making sure others don't learn instead of that they are learning. So
yes. Can I ask if there are questions from others? Gary, go ahead, Gary.
Yeah. I fully agree with Thulasi. If you give anything free, it's not appreciated. We have been doing that over and over again, Jahan. Even you know it. Even why talk about ordinary people, even the IAS officers, remember? Eh, at the education department, when Olga was
Yes.
trying to, they were reluctant. What is she trying to teach us? And it was fully funded by us, 2 days or 3 days residential camp, and then again and again we did a follow-up courses. Although they realized it was a well-worthy thing, but they were not motivated to come. Same with the students. I remember one of the diaspora gentlemen from UK. He had a class. Is it still going on? That a couple from London, UK came and did.
Yeah.
What is it? Leslie or
Yes,
somebody.
that is the Flag Forum, and Sujita and Alex taught there the first year.
Right. What happened to it? They gave it free. What happened? How many passed out? How many sustained? How many stayed, Jahan? Is it still
I
on?
think- no, so they're on to their second year or third year. And I
No,
think
it was
that
only for 1 year course.
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's a 1 year
1 year
course,
course.
but they're in their third year now. So,
Hmm.
as in
Uh-huh,
they
good.
are functioning for the
Good,
third
good.
year.
Okay. So have they got a good clientele?
I
Students?
believe that they're four, and they increased their numbers, so they moved to a bigger premises.
Oh,
So
that's interesting, because my experience is equally as bad as Thulasi's. You give free, that's
Yeah.
it. They are not
Mm.
motivated. So maybe we can subsidize. Not necessarily all the money should come from them. That's another incentive. We can subsidize the program, say 50% or 75% that whoever can pay, and 20 or 30% from. Only then they get motivated. I try to do computer classes. I try to do sewing classes. I try to do so many workshops, snack making, anything free. They come for 2 days, 3 days, they don't come. And even if they come, they're not motivated because somebody else is paying. If they have to pay the bus fare, if they have to get hard-earned money from the mother or father, then they will make an effort. Otherwise, thank you very much. Very easily they will slip off. So we have to, but it's a great need, Thulasi. We have been trying and trying and trying. Unless we educate the ordinary people in Jaffna, they are shy to talk in English, first and foremost. And even the English teachers are reluctant to speak in English. They try to talk in Tamil during the English class. So we had to break that ice. And as Jahan says, when you walked into a supermarket or even a bank, they can't speak. They want to push it to somebody who can speak instead of trying and making an effort to speak. So maybe you can do a free course for a month or a week or something, and then people get interested and then they continue. I don't know how to pull the crowd.
At this point, I have made a name for myself teaching for 8 years. So all I need is 20 students maximum. I don't want or need more than that at this first year. So right now, already 5 students have registered. I said I would go ahead with a minimum of 10 students, maximum of 20 students. I can't do more than that.
Right.
So I just need 5 more to go through. Okay,
how much is the fees would
This
be?
year, it's going to be 10,000 per month because it's a pilot project. Next year, like I said, I'm looking at something like 1 million per year.
So for each student would have to pay 100,000 a year?
Month, yeah. No, 100,000 a month. They'll have to pay 1 million a year.
Each student?
Yes.
Oh, that would be too much. Who could afford so much?
Actually, so they can actually, because like I said, I don't know whether you were there when I said it, they spent 2 to 3 million failing the IELTS exam. So
True. All that is true, but they don't understand how important this is, unfortunately.
Yeah, true.
That is a problem.
So Nilmani in the chat, sorry, Gary, you carry on.
Okay, fine.
Nilmani in the chat has made an interesting point. Nilmani, Why don't you speak up?
Nilmini has said
you're muted.
subsidization can be
Hi
based on
guys,
your
sorry, I am in the US and I just woke up, so my throat is still not adjusted. So that's the reason I thought of giving my opinion in the chat. But I thought, like, without offering anything free, upfront, we can make it like a more catchy saying that you join, and we will have some assessment and some way of encouraging them to do well, and as a reward they'll be getting some discount or some award. In that way we can keep the momentum going and have some sort of expectation from the students in order to get the money. That's what I thought.
Yeah, maybe we can even say it'll be helpful to get a job, or we can help them to get jobs or something like
Yeah,
that. Is it
yeah.
possible, Jehan? Because that way they will be motivated.
I think that I know that there's one organization, they get the children the young people to pay a deposit. And if they finish the course, they get the deposit back. So
Good.
maybe.
Okay, issue is, Jagan, like I said, I want this sustainable over the next 20 to 30 years. And hopefully by the next 20 to 30 years, we don't need this institute because that, they have figured out how to develop English from childhood onwards, along with Tamil. But we do definitely need it for 30 years running. For that to happen, if subsidization happens, the way I see it, because I have worked in the NGO sector, the diaspora will fund for 5 years and then say, okay, you run. At that point, people used to a subsidization model will not pay the money. So from the get-go, either they finance it themselves if they need it, or it crashes.
Yeah. I can see that. I wanted to ask a very quick question before I ask my next question. You're talking about the Cambridge certificate. With the Cambridge certificate, can you actually emigrate?
Yes, you can.
Oh, you can. Wow, I didn't know that.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So the Cambridge certificate costs half as much.
Yes.
Lasts forever.
Yes.
Nobody, like someone like me, has never heard of it.
Yeah.
Someone like you needs to publicize that.
Yes.
I myself know that the IELTS is very difficult because secretly.
No, the Cambridge is equally difficult. The Cambridge is equally difficult. Actually, slightly more difficult, which is why it's probably not as popular. But then the certificate is valid.
So, Thulasi, you've spoken about your institute, but you haven't said anything about the funding that you need.
With
the funding. So for your first year, if you're running that at 10,000, 10,000 a month, is it?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have so you need a minimum of how many students? 10 or 20?
I said minimum 10, maximum 20.
So that's 100,000 income.
Yes. Yeah.
So just to, I mean, let's forget about rent, all your other costs. You can cover that, can you?
Yes. So that I'm hoping to fundraise for in the short term. We'll have to look into it.
Yeah. Kurt, go ahead.
I have a few questions. It'll probably throw the spanner in the works because we have English-speaking people in our office in Jaffna itself, right? Oskopos JSL. And 3 of them speak very good English. They have never been abroad.
Yeah.
One fellow has been there, and they, if anybody calls our office, they will never have an idea that they're talking to anyone in Jaffna. They know that they are talking to an international organization. They don't even ask whether you are talking to Philippines or India. They speak with a very good English. one fellow is even speaks, he can speak in any different accents. So I'm thinking, and also, Jagan, we have, I think there is another English tutor in JSL, not JSL, the ARC building as well. One of our staff members is running the course, right? So if migration is the only issue that, Thulasi, that you are focusing, that is, I don't know whether it's very healthy, because I believe that, the Australian High Commissioner went to Jaffna recently. I saw the video, and he went to the Jaffna library, and he speaks, and they were so impressed, right? The chief librarian answers in Tamil. So, I know, I can understand there are some spoken language problems there. But now with the AI, ChatGPT, written communication is no barrier at all. Zero barriers now. Right? Everybody is writing fantastic English. So with that in mind, can you develop a course in that way instead of getting these certifications and all these sort of things? It is going to be meaningless. In the very near future, these qualifications are going to be meaningless.
Okay, so coming back to this, the average school leaver in Jaffna is not the Oscapos employee. You have got the exception to the rule. They are not the rule. I know the Oscapos employees. I know they are a brilliant bunch, and it's very much to their credit that they grew up in Jaffna and achieved that level of English. This, I would say, is less than 0.1, not even 1%, 0.1, less than 0.1% of the population. It'll be interesting to find out from them how they did that. I have had students like this. When I ask them, it's because their parents didn't pressure them to, constantly go to tuition. So they had the time to watch movies and develop themselves. They had the time to read books and develop themselves. The average Jaffna student is overeducated to the point of idiocy. So the parents think they are doing a great job by not giving the kid any leisure time activity. Study, memorize the textbook. And then they come out unable to think for themselves, unable to function for themselves. Like I said, even the Jaffna employer does not want them. So yes, ChatGPT is doing a great job, adequate job writing their emails or reports for them. Actually, it's not. So the report writing, for example, they actually have to feed in the basic information for ChatGPT to generate the report. My assistant is sitting here today, Panijan. So this guy is already, I think he worked for you. He's already fluent in English, as you know. He had to write a report. I know he did the work. He didn't feed in the information. He just told ChatGPT, generate a report. I got a lot of high-flown words that meant absolutely nothing. And I had to sit him down and tell him, look, you have to tell ChatGPT what to write first. And I have been teaching him report writing for over 1 year now because ChatGPT is not enough. Yes, over time, AI is developing very fast. I get all that. However, the average Jaffna school leaver has had the intelligence rubbed out of them. It needs to be, they need functioning brains again. This thing is all about developing their general knowledge. They don't have any right now. Developing their critical thinking skills. They don't have any right now. Developing their emotional, team working skills. Very little to none right now. And that in turn will develop their employability, both locally as well as abroad.
Okay, thank you.
You're muted, Jagan. Jagan, we can't hear you. Okay.
It's all right, I'm back. So are you suggesting a full-time course? So your institute,
yes,
9 in the morning until 5
yes,
for a year?
Yes. Nothing short of that will work. They're too weak to go with part-time courses, which is their preferment now, but they're too weak for that. So like I said, we really have to start from ABC and then to take them up to near native levels English, you need nothing less than that.
Yes. No, I agree that it's a need. And actually, say Flag Forum is doing a good job within its boundaries. You look at another organization, Unicom TIC, which its focus is on technology, getting the kids to become industry ready, and they're doing a good job there. But they're very focused. While it sounds to me like you're much less focused. You're doing what you're doing too many things. It sounds to me. I mean, do you not agree?
What do you mean by too many things there?
Well, you're talking about them critical thinking, soft skills, English language.
That automatically comes through their learning. I'm going to focus only on their English learning, but their English learning is not me standing at the blackboard. It's them doing group work together to develop their English skills. So they'll be collaborating on various projects. Through that, for example, the presentation, they have to go and research it themselves. ChatGPT is a big problem now. For everything, they outsource their thinking to ChatGPT. So I deliberately keep giving presentation topics that ChatGPT will not give the answer to. But even then, they first go to, so now it's phones down. Put the phone down, think for yourself. For example, the last project I gave is 5 best places to go dating in Jaffna, because these are the things Gen Z is interested in. They did go immediately to ChatGPT. I said, phones down, think for yourself. And they did a brilliant job. They actually did a brilliant job. So, and through this, they enjoyed themselves. They worked with each other. They learned to be funny and communicative. They came up, I said I was going to give marks for creativity on who comes up with, out of the way places. They put a lot of effort and out of the way places. Sorry. Yeah.
So did you send your assistant to go and test these places?
I'll ask for feedback.
You need to do that. All these things need to be tested.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are there any more questions? Because we're coming up to the 1 hour. So we have 3 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes. So if you're going to start are you in a position to start on your shoestring, Thulasi?
Sorry, start on?
Are you in a position to start on your shoestring?
I am hoping to fundraise. I know I need some. I'm looking at making it as cheap as possible. So plastic tables and chairs. But as cheaply available local textbooks. But we do need some kind of funding. I do need the interactive whiteboard, which comes to about 1.5 to 2 lakhs. I have to look at the prices there. So yes, we are looking at some kind of in the range of minimum 1 million rupees. I don't know. I have actually not costed yet. Sit down, cost it, fundraise for it. Hopefully, let's see.
Yeah, because there is another, as Kurt pointed out, there is another English class code, but that's aimed at children.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a segment that you're looking. You explicitly said that was not a segment that you're looking at. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Thulasi. Unless there's any last-minute question, then I'm going to wind this up. We had questions from the United States to Australia and Jaffna. So we did. It was a good session. Thank you, Thulasi. So
thank you. Thank you, Thulasi. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the work you are doing. Thank you.
And the recording will be out tomorrow. Okay, so good morning, good night, as we say forever.
Thank you, Jagan. Thank you, Thulasi.
Thank you.
And we'll be back in a month's time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.